PlayStation 5, Forza Horizon 6. This would have been but a dream not too long ago, but now it may actually happen. For those of you that have been living under a rock, Xbox games are going multi-platform. So that brings us to the question, will Forza Horizon 5 arrive on PS5 or Forza Horizon 6? This is the question that's been on my mind for a little while, and it kind of depends on what Xbox sees the strategy be. It's going good. This is Phil Spencer, head of Xbox, and he had this to say a couple of months ago.
So we made the decision that we're going to take 4 games to the other consoles.
So there was this whole event of 22 minutes of edited talking conversation. Is Xbox gonna be no more? Is it play with Xbox? Turns out 4 games were coming to PlayStation, and 2 of those are actually some of the highest rated Xbox IPs that have ever released. Love it or hate it, Sea of Thieves is by far my favorite in terms of Xbox IP, and it's now on the PlayStation Store. In fact, if you go to the homepage of the PlayStation Store, it's literally the top game right now. And there's also Hi-Fi Rush, which is another really, really well-received game that it's a cult classic from Go. When we previously spoke about this, it was all speculation. Okay, it wasn't really speculation. We knew it was gonna happen. It hadn't had the official confirmation, and now it does. Xbox games are coming to PlayStation. Now, so far, they've been, well, pretty damn well received. To see the rankings that they got on the PlayStation, more people joining the games is always better. But the question in terms of Forza is whether Forza Horizon 5 or Forza Horizon 6 will come to the console first. You might be confused as to why the hell I'm even asking this question. Let me explain. So essentially what they could do is go down 2 paths. The first path, they could give us Forza Horizon 5, which means they get to remonetize an old game. Remonetizing a game that's already existent is really, really useful, and it's pretty obvious these days that all of the focus on Forza in terms of team power is being spent on the next game. Essentially what we're getting is little sprinkles of new cars and maybe a little map change here and there, but no actual new content in terms of actual events and races. They're kind of relying on the community to do that, and hey, the community generally do a better job than most of the developers. So if the whole team is not doing Forza Horizon 5, what are they working on? Forza Horizon 6, in case you haven't realized. Okay, so Playground Games is mostly working on Forza Horizon 6 and have a little team for Forza Horizon 5. Which game are we going to get on PlayStation? Now, I want to lean and say Microsoft is just figuring out what works best. And of course, the games they've released thus far are all kind of old, which means that they could fully just release Forza Horizon 5. In fact, I know the team that actually worked on it. When it comes to the PC version, Sumo Digital actually created most of the work, did most of the work to get the PC version parity. They helped, they assisted, but realistically, they did most of the porting work. Usually, a different studio will port the game to different platforms. I am being absolutely hammered in this race. I may have given it a little bit too much power. So it's likely that another team could be working on the port of Forza Horizon 5 to bring it over to PlayStation 5. If that's true, and if that's happening right now, that could mean either of 2 things. Either Forza Horizon 6 is actually further off than we think, or Forza Horizon 5 is going to be out on PlayStation 5, and then on the Xbox, you'll get Forza Horizon 6. That's kind of how Sony do it with PC, and it wouldn't surprise me if they take this method. It's actually the closest method to what they've used thus far. Of course, Sea of Thieves and Hi-Fi Rush, those are games that have had a lot of time on Xbox before they've come over. Sea of Thieves is actually quite an old game. There's also another game that kind of failed on Xbox, didn't really take off, and PC maybe it did a little bit better. It's ground up, is that what I don't bloody know. I didn't play the damn game, obviously. So closest to the method they've tried thus far, and seemingly it's worked incredibly well, is to give the games later. Because once again, without really making a new game, you automatically get more money. It's easy. It's like a remaster, but not. Who wouldn't want to triple dip on a game instead, or quadruple dip, if you're talking about the Nintendo Switch? But that is not to say that they will not try other methods. So of course, we have got one huge game that Microsoft didn't develop, but purchased during the development, Starfield, which is essentially a space Fallout. Now, the next Fallout game, weirdly, even though the Amazon show was incredible and people looking for a new Fallout game to play, they released the Fallout 4 update. thanks, we are actually many years, maybe even a decade away from actually getting a new Fallout game. It's incredible timing, I know. But I think Starfield, which is getting an expansion, its first expansion... Don't leave that in. Cut it out. I didn't crash. I seriously think Starfield will be one of the next games to come across to PlayStation. Maybe even before Forza Horizon, unless Forza Horizon 6 comes out this year. But basically, at the end of this year, we're going to see quite a lot of games, and maybe some coming to PlayStation. Starfield is a game that I really, and I think a lot of the industry thought that kind of makes sense to put it on PlayStation, especially now considering the reception of it. I think it has a chance with the first expansion, because Bethesda tend to, you know, do some big improvements for their first big expansion to bring that to PlayStation. Will they do it? I'm not sure. They might do it after the second expansion once they've, you know, laid the groundwork and things like that. But essentially, I think there will be a time soon that Starfield comes to PlayStation, which, just like Forza, is one of their bigger IPs, and it just ultimately makes sense. Why the hell would you not want to make more money from the game? Now, the alternative path, as I say, Forza Horizon 6 is the first Forza game to launch on PlayStation, and it kind of makes sense as well. Forza Horizon 6 is going to use the brand new Forza engine, which means it's going to have new lighting and a new world and a new scope and a new size and a new scale. It's the first, probably, real next-gen Forza game. Forza Horizon, not Forza Motorsport. We already saw the next gen. So there's very much a chance they want to come out absolutely swinging. But at the same time, based on how Forza Motorsport went, maybe it would be best to put the previous one on the console first. Maybe they're not going to switch engine. There's a lot of maybes. In which way I would personally prefer, I think Forza Horizon 6 should launch on PlayStation at the same time as PC and Xbox, if not a month or so later, if it requires extra work, blah, 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 blah. But I think the window should be the same. The end of this year, I really would love to see Forza Horizon 6 come to PlayStation. Again, I'm one of the people that would have always been like, you're stupid, what are you talking about? It'll never happen. That's clearly changed. With a whole new engine and a whole new Forza basically coming from this next game, it just doesn't make sense to throw Forza Horizon 5 onto the PlayStation when Forza Horizon 6 will be on the Xbox. I think for this first one, this is going to be the new baseline. Forza Horizon 5 is not getting any major expansions because if they keep throwing more work at it, well, it's going to be binned because they're working on the new engine. And let's be real, the ultimate goal for Microsoft is not to sell games. They actually don't really give a damn. The ultimate goal is also to not sell consoles. They don't give a damn. What they want is your recurring subscription. Xbox Game Pass is Microsoft's Xbox's new business model, and that's what they're going for. Because ultimately, they can't really make that much money from PC players. With Xbox Live Gold, they tried to launch it on PC, and it was an absolute disaster. Because you could, for example, play with Steam and not pay monthly. Why the hell would I pay to play Xbox Online when I can't play Xbox with Xbox people? It was a massive failure. So in its place, we've now got Game Pass, which is now something you can pay on multiple platforms, and eventually it'll be very likely that there'll be a PlayStation version of it, and they can't do that until there's a whole selection of Xbox games available for you to play. It doesn't make sense. It will not be the same value. It's just not possible. It's going to be something more like EA Play or Ubisoft Plus on PlayStation. They won't be able to get those big platform numbers. Or maybe Sony won't allow it at all. But that's definitely their target. That's definitely their aim. And realistically, if the European Union has their say, which they usually do, Microsoft would be able to 100% offer Xbox Game Pass. So they've got to get their own titles on there. That's the only way they can make sales of that subscription. Because ultimately, they make infinite money when they have your subscription. They make limited money when they buy your game. Unless it's Forza Horizon and every month they release a car pack. So that may be their other method. But it's kind of a subscription. Maybe there'll be a car pack subscription one day for Forza. And we'll eat it up and not say a damn word because we're stupid like that. Ultimately, the industry is changing in huge ways. And again, to see Microsoft on Xbox at all is so wild to me. As a kid, I just never thought I could only afford one console, one platform, and that limited the types of games I wanted to play. So I didn't get to play Fable until later. Fable is an incredible game. Speaking of which, Playground Games is also working on Fable. It's a different studio, but I reckon that Forza's broken. That's not what I was going to say. That Fable will definitely be another one where they consider launch, but maybe a little bit later, because that would maybe make more sense with Fable, but I wouldn't necessarily call Forza a system seller because you can get it on PC anyway. It's kind of already done that. What it is a Game Pass seller, and that is what Microsoft wants. So I guess that leaves me the question for you guys, because I really want to know, would you rather Forza Horizon 5 come to PlayStation or Forza Horizon 6 come to PlayStation? Now, of course, we don't know anything about Forza Horizon 6, but Forza Horizon 5 is solidified. It'll last a while. Of course, they'll have to keep renewing the licenses, but if anything, that's one advantage of Game Pass, is that they can afford to renew the licenses because they've got a constant supply of money. They can keep getting those car licenses, whereas normally Forzas have been delisted by now, by a long time. But this one remains. This one stays. That's actually a really good thing. I'm properly happy about that because, again, normally with Forza Horizon 3, 2, 1, you can't buy those except for physically. And if you didn't know, Microsoft games these days, you don't actually get the game on the disc. You get part of it and then it needs an update and it's not the game. I think, in my perspective, I just want to see Forza Horizon 6 come to PlayStation day one. I think it makes sense. More players, cross-platform, cross-save is included as well. PlayStation's already allowed it with other games, and of course, why would they say no to other games in where they get 20% of the revenue from the sales of Microsoft games on their platform? Why would they say no? But it also makes it easier for people like me nowadays that, well, ultimately want to play on every device possible. If I've got an Xbox in the living room and a PlayStation in my office, I just want to play the game, and systems are no longer a barrier. Hell, I've got a Switch too. I haven't, but if I did, and I can play the damn thing portably, and then come home and play it on the big screen, not on the Switch too, because I'd want to play it on like my, 4090 or something. It's the dream world to me. More games for everyone, more enjoyment for everyone. Thank you so much for watching. Speaking of enjoyment, check out the recommended video. YouTube knows you'll enjoy it. That's why I picked it. I didn't pick it. YouTube did.